Today we're going to learn about action verbs and objects, specifically direct and indirect objects. So a verb is the action word in a sentence. Action words are run, play, eat, things that people do. Objects are the things that are done to them. So I can say, Miss Amanda eats cake. Eats is the action word, so it's the verb, and cake is the object. It is what's being done to something. So to figure out what the object is, the direct objects, you can ask questions like what or whom. On the example below, you can see Larry tells stories. What does Larry tell? Stories. So in our other example, Amanda eats cake. What does Amanda eat? Cake. An indirect object tells what or whom or for what or for whom an action is done. Now this part gets really confusing, so we're going to explain this a little bit differently. So in our first sentence, we have Larry tells stories. Larry tells his friends stories. So now we have more information. This, his friends, is a direct object. And we can figure out direct objects are by asking more questions. So our first question was, what does Larry tell? The direct object is the answer. Larry tells stories. So now we have extra information, his friends. So we can ask, who does Larry tell stories to? Or to whom does Larry tell stories? His friends. So let's look at another, We're going to look at another example, okay? So we'll go back to Miss Amanda eats her friend's cake. Let's fix our spelling. Okay. So I know that eats is our verb because that's the action word, right? And if I ask, what does Miss Amanda eat? The answer is cake. Then I can ask, whose cake does she eat? Her friends. Her friends is the direct object. Okay. Next, we also have transitive and intransitive verbs. Now, these are fancy words, and what they basically mean are verbs that are followed by a direct object, that's our transitive verb, or verbs that are followed by an adverb. Now remember, an adverb is a word that describes a verb. So I can say speaks loudly, runs quickly, eats noisily. Usually adverbs end with ly, and that's a good clue to see that it's an adverb. Now, when a word ends with ly, that's called a intransitive verb. In here means not. Right? Verbs that have a direct object are called transitive verbs. And you can remember this by thinking of like transitive is like transport or train. A train moves something from one place to another. And a transitive verb moves an action from one place to another. So Gina claps her hands. She's moving the action to her hands. So that's a little trick that can help you. Okay, so we're going to down at the bottom, we're going to work together, and we're going to put either DO for direct object. And remember, a direct object is, there must be a direct object in order to have an indirect object. So we'll put DO for direct object, IO for indirect object, and adverb for words that describe the verb. And usually our hint is that these end in ly. And then on the side, we're going to write whether the word is transitive or intransitive. Do you remember the rule for finding transitive or intransitive verbs? If you said intransitive verbs have adverbs, then you're correct. Good job. So, each of us told the group a story. So we can figure this out by asking by making some questions. So, what did each of us tell? A story. So this is going to be our direct object. Oops. Okay. And then we can ask about the direct object to find the indirect object. Each of us told, what did each of us tell? A story. Who did we tell the story to? The group. So this is going to be our indirect object. Oops, sorry, my letters aren't working very well. And we can see that here there are no adverbs. There's no ly words. So we're going to put a T here for transitive. Next one. Andrea narrated a tale of terror and bloodshed. So here our clue is that there's only one object. And we remember, in order to have an indirect object, we must also have a direct object. So already we have a good clue that this is going to be a direct object. Oops. And if I ask questions, Andrea narrated a tale of terror and bloodshed, I can ask, what did Andrea narrate? She narrated a tale. Okay, let's try number 3. Oh, and because it has a direct object, it is also going to be transitive. Okay, number 3. Everyone was listening very carefully. So here our clue is that we have one of these ly words. And what do we know about ly words? Did you say they're adverbs? Good job. So here we're going to put an A. Oops. My letters aren't working so well. So this is my A. And because it's an adverb, we'll put intransitive on the line. It didn't show up. Okay. Next, who wrote The Pit and the Pendulum? So this is a title of a story. It's going to act as one object. So our question, what did they write? They wrote The Pit and the Pendulum. So this is going to be our direct object. And we know that a direct object is a transitive verb. So I want you to try, pause the video and try 5 through 10 together.